Welcome back to I'm Still Here.
Yes, welcome back.
Today, I want to talk about building a schedule to kill cancer. So for this, I'm thinking about kind of really, you can do this at any time, I guess, in any point. But I'm thinking really about kind of the more early diagnosed and just kind of putting together all of a sudden your days a lot of times are turned upside down, and how can you maybe, bring something to that will be helpful.
Right. I think some people are schedulers and some people aren't.
I agree.
In life.
Yep.
I think this is a time where you probably have to be.
Well,
even if that doesn't bring you like a relief, because that's what it does for some people.
Yeah.
I think everybody's got to do some scheduling here.
I agree, and I think schedules can look different. Like sometimes when you say schedule to me, I think, oh, that means I do the same thing every day. And it doesn't have to look like that. In fact, that's kind of like what I would say you kind of need to start out with is what kind of time do you have? And so that for me is a lot of times like putting a week on a calendar and kind of, filling in. I'm still going to work. That's like, I can't do anything about that, right? But where are the blocks of time and what kind of time do I have to be able to really devote to killing cancer?
And that's what I'm saying is some people, you say schedule or calendar, and they start getting anxiety because you're going to get locked into something, and that is not what they want. Well, here, there's so many balls in the air that I think some things need to be scheduled. And if you have certain goals, to get them done in this chaotic environment, probably need to be scheduled.
The other thing is that you can also think about a schedule as allowing you free time.
Sure.
That's true. Giving you blocks of free time. And like for me, I feel like I work better kind of in chunks of time. So it doesn't necessarily mean I'm doing everything every day, right? Maybe I get a lot of something done on, one day, and then I don't come back to it for 4 days or whatever.
So for you, you're probably more of a weekly person.
I am, yes. And that's what I'm saying is it does not, especially if you're early in treatment, like that stuff is changing quite often. You know what I mean? Or you're trying to figure out, again, like, what does my work life look like? What does my personal life look like? What is my treatment like? And how is that coming together? Again, I guess I feel like I should say, I always will advocate for you to be careful and mindful of, not taking on too much or being able to alleviate some of the stress if possible.
Right.
So we know that can be challenging as well. But so the first thing is really kind of how many hours do you have? When you plug in those, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to, what do you have, an hour a day? Do you have 5 hours on Monday and, no time on Wednesday? Like, what does that look like?
And it is very different. Some people are able to take a sabbatical from work or quit work or and still the household can still run as far as the finances and that kind of stuff. Some people are in the situation where that can happen, and other people's the opposite of that. Yeah. So your free time is somewhat dependent on that work schedule.
And I think always, like, it kind of going back to the gap in the gain, if you have an hour a week, how can you use that kind of thing? It is up to you to decide how you feel about, the time that you have allotted, and then be able to use that. So.
Now, and the other part is, if you have an hour a week, the truth is, if you've been diagnosed with stage 3 or stage 4 cancer, that's just not going to work.
Right.
That's the truth. You might not want to hear it. You're not focused on killing cancer at this point.
Yeah.
Some things in your life need to be rescheduled. Some things in your life need to be really looked at as far as importance, because this better be really important.
Yeah, this needs to be a priority. Yeah, I would agree with that. And so that leads us kind of into, I had said, what are your priorities? And for me, I mean, like, that's kind of where I've talked many times about working from your strengths. So what are the things that you really want to focus on, and also will kind of give you the most bang for your buck in terms of making you feel like, you are doing something to kill cancer.
Yeah.
And that's what this is for me. I feel like we have continued to go around and around a little bit about, we're not saying that everything's going to be great, right? But this is about just that whole overall belief of my doctor's doing their part. What can I do?
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's really kind of easy for me to say, I'm going to take a walk, right? And what I found is that things like that can then snowball into other things. So for me, I feel like the physical component of wellness is an easy thing for me to prioritize and be able to check off, on a regular basis. So
yeah, if that in my life, which is not a metastatic cancer survivor or thriver, if I don't schedule exercise, it doesn't happen for me. Other things take priority, and it just doesn't happen. I have to mindfully or set that and schedule it. Because the truth is, I don't love it.
I'm not saying I love it either. But
some people do.
Yeah, and that's great. I love being able to say that I've done it.
Me too.
I
feel so much better. I love
the feeling
after.
of having done it. Yeah.
No doubt. Yep.
Yeah. But you can do some physical exercise in 5 minutes. You can do it.
So true.
So don't make this bigger than what it is, and don't. It doesn't have to be a trip to a gym and all of these other things. Those are obstacles that get in the way, I feel like.
And a matter of fact, if you're starting out with a trip to the gym, it's probably, I hope it's not, but it might be short-lived, because we want to always ramp up a exercise routine. And if you've never been regular to exercise and you got this diagnosis and exercise is good for me, and you go to the gym and spend an hour and a half working out, you might not go back that week, right? Whereas a walk, like you said, it still gives you that good feeling at the end. It ramps you in. You're still going to be sore. Your legs are going to be sore, all of this, but you're going to be able to do it again. And you build on. And, in a couple of weeks, you might feel like a little jog, or you might feel like, hey, maybe I'll do some yoga too, or maybe I'll do some, some of that. Some exercises in your living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay. If it's not like physical, that's fine too. Like work on your nutrition, work on your that mental side of things, which we've talked about in terms of, are you in constant fear? How can we alleviate that? How can we bring those thoughts in, really think about them, and change them around to send them back out, right?
Yes.
So a lot of things like that. The next thing to consider, I feel like, is, do you have help? Do you have help for this? And what help could look like could be a lot of things.
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
So help in terms of somebody to do things with you. I think that's important. And you've talked about it in terms of accountability, but also just, decompress, whatever. It's great to have a partner in doing things.
In all aspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Physical. Nutrition, just spiritually from that standpoint. When whether it's just the mentally side of things, just bouncing things off what you're thinking, all of that.
Yep.
And then yes, it's the accountability part, but it's also it's
so
more fun to cook with somebody else,
Absolutely.
or to say, hey, this is what I had, you should try it. That part of it, it's.
Two heads are better than one for a lot of those things, and just it works out better.
And I know that's not true for some people. Some people want to be solo and love being solo, and they thrive in being solo in many of the things that they do. Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's not all or nothing, right? When I was building my path or my schedule, I know the plant is attacking us this week. It must be growing. When I was building my schedule, there was a portion of it that was by myself every day, but it was just a portion. And then the rest of it was then to allow me to be around the people that I cared about and do the things I loved, because we're going to talk about that more too, but that's what filled me up also. So, you could also ask for help in terms of, will you make me 5 salads Or will you walk with me? Will you maybe take something off of your plate?
Will you pick up the kids?
Will you pick up the kids?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Will you watch them for 2 hours today?
Yeah. And, one time a week, that kind of stuff, however that looks,
And I'm not even talking about a babysitter. I'm talking about somebody who came to you, and a lot of people have many people who come to you after diagnosis and say, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
You may not know right then, but 2 weeks later, when maybe you listen to this and go, yeah, that would really help me. Yeah. Call them up.
Yep.
You said you wanted to help. I have a need here.
This is it.
You're awesome. I know you'd be great with my kids. Could you just please spend 2 hours with them?
Yeah. Yep.
Outside of my house.
Yeah, however, or I'm going to leave.
Or
whatever that looks like for you. You can.
Especially those of you with young kids.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is really planning the week in terms of, I think we started with this a little bit, but say you have 10 hours or say, that doesn't mean that you have, 2 hours every weekday necessarily. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have 5 hours on Sunday and an hour every evening or something like that. Look at that and how can you best use that time. Maybe, a bigger block of time is a meal prep time also to kind of keep that nutrition rolling. Or maybe it's a social time, so that you can really kind of decompress a little bit with the people who matter to you.
I agree with that. And I think, we all always, for me, it's leading back to that mental state and trying to be in a positive environment. But there, if you've listened to our 5 to Thrive series, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
Being a metastatic cancer patient.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do. And that's, if you don't want to hear that, okay, turn it off. But the truth is, there's a lot to do if you want to thrive in this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And even if you do everything, obviously there's no promises. We all know that. But it gives you that opportunity. And I can't pick, one category of the 5 to go, don't worry about that. Because they all build on each other. They're independent, but they do all build on that one. And I think it's that mental state. Mm-hmm. So to say, you got an hour and maybe... my feeling on this is, if that's socialized, that's great, but you do got to get those other things done. People aren't going to like to hear this too, but it's kind of a job.
It is, yes. I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, and again, I think some people looked at me and went what are you doing quitting your job? That was my job. There was no doubt about that for me. I do worry about, actually, I've just been reading and I was listening to somebody who was saying that, metastatic cancer is a chronic disease. Well, I do worry about people saying things like that because I feel like it discounts the severity and the how life-changing it can be, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. I want people to be able to live with metastatic breast cancer. Absolutely. But when you say that it's chronic, you're also kind of saying we don't have to make it as big of a priority.
Yeah.
Nor do we need to provide the same amount of help and assistance to people with metastatic disease.
Sure.
So that's the other thing too. Maybe you do have every hour of every day. You can still block them out, still have a purpose throughout your day so that you're not, I'll do this at some point. I do feel like building some sort of a routine is helpful to people, right?
I do too. We are very similar there.
Yeah.
But I do know these other people exist and that takes away from their mental, from them.
No, I get it. I do get that too. And honestly, I will say I think I'm a little more flexible than you are. There's a part of me that knows I'm better off if I get a workout in before 4:00 in the day. But I'm also not against working out at 8:00 at night. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah, you have to work within, what works for you, I suppose. And what the people around you can help you with. So,
yeah.
Build in some non-negotiables. Start small and add to them.
So what do you mean by that?
I just mean make a commitment to yourself that you are going to do certain things and then keep the promise to yourself. Mm-hmm. that doesn't mean you set a crazy high goal at the beginning, like I'm going to work out for an hour and a half every day. It means you say, I am committed to meditation for 5 minutes, 5 of 7 days, or whatever. You do want it to be most days, because the more you do it, the more it builds and the better you get at it. But build in some non-negotiables. I'm going to eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day.
Well, it comes down back to that 5 to thrive. Again, it's the mental side of things, the physical, and the nutrition. Those 3 things, and the checklist from that is, hey, you're not going to start off doing everything.
No.
You're going to build up to that.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, yes, setting those small goals and just picking a few and just go, those are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
For the week.
Yeah.
For that.
And then reevaluate. How'd that go? Can I add to that? Can I detract from that? What works best?
Yeah, you might just be like, oh, that wasn't bad at all.
That wasn't bad at all.
Matter of fact, that was, I felt good with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one thing.
Yeah.
The next week.
Yeah.
And absolutely.
Yeah, just.
Although I said, and you didn't, though.
I went all in.
You went all in. And I think that has to fit your personality. I think that has to fit, your diagnosis too, to some extent. Your environment that you're in, meaning, do you have the time to go all in with like all of the things we talked about? I mean, the things we talked about is literally what Heather did back in the day. And it wasn't, I'll try these things. It was not that at all. So if you're looking to emulate, if you're looking to do that,
you can go all in.
You can go all in.
But
it's got to be a pretty perfect scenario for you right there to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. My next thing, I said, give yourself some wins. So what I mean by that is put some things into your schedule, into this week, that you're going to be able to do, that you're going to feel good about. One of the first things I thought about was fall asleep to a meditation or visualization. Like, that's about as easy as it gets, right? I feel like it's, it might be changing your routine a little bit, but just, knowing that you're going to sleep, listening to something good coming in, that's a win.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
And, if you have these non-negotiables, those can also be wins. You know? Well, I think we both like checking things off a list, or saying, I got to get these things done. That can be a weekly, non-negotiables and things I'll try, or those kind of things. But it feels good to check those off the list and go, yes, I won.
Yeah, I literally just thought about this, but I'm an Apple Watch person. I use an Apple Watch, and I am motivated by their rings, and I know some people aren't, but set the calorie or the move ring where you can achieve it. It's gonna send you a little text that says, way to go.
Yeah, and what you're saying is set a minimum.
Yes.
Not
no
achieving goal. You know what I mean? It's nice to get to that, and you will get to that on some days. But set that minimum instead of I'm trying to reach that. Yeah. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And that's similar with the nutrition too. Set that minimum. What are those non-negotiables, and get that win during that first week, and it'll carry you to the second one.
Yeah, I agree. Think about habit stacking. So you can go all in. We've talked about that a little bit. But you can also add kind of good things to things that you're already doing. So you can add something that's going to be positive to something you're already doing.
And this is what we do in our real life.
Yes.
You did the all in for the cancer.
Yep.
In our real life, and I don't want to say post-cancer because I get it, since you've been out for a while and maintaining.
And juggling everything.
Yeah. That's what you've done.
Oh,
you've habit stacked versus I'm all in on this. So talk more about that. What does that
habit
mean?
stacking means, I'll give you a hygiene so you brush your teeth every night. For me, one of my goals was to use moisturizer more. So after I brush my teeth, then I put moisturizer on. Just kind of adding one more thing to that, Yeah. And you can do that, or, when I sit in my car, I read something positive. Put the posted on your car steering wheel. Yeah. That's a little thing, but your brain's going to hear that. You're going to hear that. It's stuff like that.
I heard about a lady brushing her teeth, and she wanted to work on her balance, so she stood on one leg, right?
Love that.
Yeah, it's like that we do. Like I try to do that in my workout routine.
Yeah.
When I'm between sets, I'm stretching.
Yeah.
Or when I'm why waste that? And then that gets better, and that building on. When you have the time, do something else that's positive.
People will incorporate, people will say, I do dishes and I do 20 squats or whatever. And again, just things like that. Every time I stand at the sink, I do 20 squats. So those are habit stacking kind of things. And,
every time you open the fridge.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. That's a great idea. I like back when there were commercials and we watch regular TV and stuff, every time a commercial set comes on, you do whatever.
Yeah, and again with that, we do have so much technology now that you could set your watch to go off every, 55 minutes and go for, walk for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Or we have one set of stairs. We live kind of on our main level, but up and down the stairs 5 times. Mm-hmm. Those kind of things are definitely ways to habit stack something that you're.
It's a way to challenge yourself. I'm gonna add a habit this week.
Yeah.
Not to everything you do, but to one thing you do. Getting in your car, brushing your teeth, doing that.
Right.
Break time at work or whatever that is. I'm gonna add a habit.
I was also thinking, even work wise, if you're going out to eat every day, maybe it's bringing your lunch 3 times a week or something like that. Yeah. So, all right. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was just that I also think it's really important that you build in some things that make you feel good. So that this is not just a drudgery. This is not just a list of I have to's, but what makes you happy or what relieves some stress. I know, again, initially we're working from such a point of fear and anxiety, but what allows you just to take a deep breath a little bit? Mm-hmm. Is it sitting on the couch and watching your favorite show, with somebody? Is it, finding something funny? Is
Instagram Reels.
Instagram Reels.
I cannot watch those without laughing out loud.
Yeah.
And I know they're stupid.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah, so joy and searching for things that really do bring you joy is so important in this, because I just feel like there's so much of this that becomes you kind of forget who you are almost, right? And maybe it's spending time with your kids. Don't forget what you're working for, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
So. Yeah. There's a lot of things. I remember when I was first diagnosed that I feel like you kind of have techno vision and just your senses are heightened about a lot of things. But it is an opportunity too, just to look around and really see the goodness in people and in nature and in all of those things. So, schedule the things. Give yourself time. Even give yourself time to do nothing. Give yourself time to take a nap. Give yourself time to just be.
Yeah. And you've mentioned this before. Give yourself grace too.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're going into a phase of treatment that's kicking your butt.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
Kicking your butt. You're not going to accomplish in those non-negotiables and you're not going to accomplish those at that period of time.
Yeah.
That is okay. You're not falling backwards.
No.
Obviously when you were in the hospital, a lot of that crap went out the window.
Oh, all of it did.
It's just I gotta stay alive.
Yes.
And so that's okay. That's absolutely okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a few things that I thought about how to take on cancer in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So that's it for today. We hope you have a good one.
Have a great one. See ya.